Hello, my chicklets. Thank you for stopping by. Today we will be reading Concussive Side Effects. As the name might suggest, this one does deal with injury, so please be careful while listening. Information will be in the description, and as always, I try to respond to the comments inside of the comment section. It took Logan a moment to realize what happened. A bright white light flashed through the mind palace, and he felt disoriented. But then his mind caught up. He should have been more careful helping Thomas down the stairs. However, now was not the time to dwell on the past. Quickly, he led Thomas to the bathroom, turning on the light and giving his pupils time to dilate properly. He had to check for symptoms. The pain in the back of their head was obvious, but thankfully no one else seemed to have woken up. That was good. He couldn't deal with Virgil right now. It was the anxious side's job. Logan was well aware of that fact, but he had to stay focused. Pupil size seemed within normal ranges, no vertigo while standing or moving. The memory of the incident was still intact. If they had a concussion, it was minor, nothing to be concerned about. He would still plan accordingly. Leading Thomas to the freezer, the two of them got an ice pack, moving carefully this time. It would be best to sleep on the couch for the rest of the night. Heading up the stairs could be dangerous. Controlling Thomas, Logan set an alarm for every 2 hours. He'd cause this problem. He would make sure that Thomas was safe. He would clean up the mess he'd caused. Logan prepared himself for a long night, fighting back a yawn as he made his way to Virgil's room. When the first alarm went off, he would have to calm Virgil quickly. Sleeping in Virgil's room would be a bad choice considering its effects, so logically, his best option was to sleep just outside the room. He sat against the wall, closing his eyes. This was going to completely mess with his sleep schedule, but he had to do everything he could. In just under 2 hours, he would be woken up to check on all of the sides, and Thomas. Logan could already feel the stress beginning to weigh on him. Each time the alarm went off, he repeated his process. Calm Virgil down, make sure he went back to sleep. Then he would check on the others. He would verify that they had no visible markings or signs of fading. Next was Thomas. Logan would go over the events of the night, check for memory gaps, stand up, slowly have Thomas touch his toes, and check for vertigo. Each time, everything checked out. Everything seemed to be okay. Logan still had a headache, and the world was mildly fuzzy, but Thomas would be fine. After the last alarm went off, he checked everything again. Logan felt comfortable going to sleep without an alarm. Thomas was awake for the day, and he had expended his capacity for logical thought. Logan went to his room, closing and locking the door before collapsing onto the bed, his mind finally allowing him to go over all of the things he should have done the night before that would have prevented this. It had been a while since self-loathing ate at him like this. Virgil was the first to wake up. Despite knowing what happened last night, he didn't feel his normal anxiety overwhelm him. Somewhere in his mind, he felt like he should be more concerned, but he was mildly nervous at most. Maybe it would be a good idea if they didn't try to go out and drive, though. Getting behind a wheel right now could mean a lot of problems. Virgil got up and slipped on his hoodie. The world felt dimmed. It wasn't in a bad way, just muted. Gently he knocked on Patton's door. He could hear the other side slowly shifting. It was going to be a lazy day for all of them, wasn't it? He could hear Patton trying to move around, but it was probably just as much of a fight for morality as it had been for him. When the door finally opened, Virgil gave Patton a weak smile. "Hey, Pat." "Hey, Virg. Is everything okay?" "I think so. Maybe we should all laze on the couch today." That was too many words. Thankfully, Patton agreed with a gentle nod of his head. Virgil went to get Princey, and Patton went to get Logan, a quick and easy agreement between the two without words. Getting Roman up was easier, but no less concerning. Virgil wasn't greeted by Roman's normal singing voice. He wasn't even greeted with a sleepy hello. Instead, there was a silence until the door swung open. Roman was looking at him with a raised eyebrow, and not a word. "Pat and I are going to chill on the couch and do nothing." There was a bit of hesitance before Roman nodded, stepping out of his room and following after Virgil. The two barely made it to the couch before they flopped down completely exhausted. Logan is asleep. Patton fell in next to Virgil and Roman. They didn't even bother to put the TV on as they just sat with each other, cuddled together. They all felt numb, but it was better to not be alone. It was a few hours later when Logan finally made his way downstairs. His hair was tousled and his glasses barely sat on his face. "I'm sorry, everyone. This is my fault. Had I made sure we stuck to our eating schedule, Thomas wouldn't have been hungry and made his way downstairs. Or if I had been more thoughtful to grab the banister..." He was cut off by Patton letting out a whine, holding up his hands and grabbing at Logan lazily. They were all feeling horrible. Logan didn't need to go on one of his long-winded monologues. They just needed to rest together. "No, I think I will go make us all dinner. I'm assuming you haven't eaten today?" "No," Virgil said weakly. "Very well. I will begin cooking." He rubbed his head gently. It was hard to form coherent sentences, but he could already tell he was doing a bit better. As logic, and the most coherent side at the time, it was his responsibility to make sure they were all taken care of. Not to mention this had been his fault. He had to take care of everyone until they had all recovered. Logan cooked a perfectly balanced meal, though it was not necessarily as tasty as something Patton would have made. Still, it was sufficient. He packed everything up onto a tray and walked it over to the couch. It would be cruel to ask everyone to get up when they were snuggling through a rough day. "Thanks, Lo." Patton took the food easily, as did Virgil. Roman required a bit more coaxing. The other two sides on the couch frowned, but Logan waved it off. "It's fine. I thought this might happen. Since creativity is a higher brain function and requires more conscious thought, I assumed he might be the most affected." Logan began to slur his words near the end. "Roman, focus on me." Virgil and Patton looked at each other, a bit confused, before watching Logan feed Roman. Had it not been for the circumstance, it would have been very cute. Logan was careful with each movement, helping to make sure the tired side ate all of his dinner. He was conscious of the best speed for Roman, and Logan could feel Patton staring at him slightly. He did his best to ignore it until Roman was finished. "I suggest we put on a movie and continue to relax for the night." There was a silent agreement as Logan stood up, collecting the empty plates and putting on Aladdin. He would eat during the movie. Right now it was important to care for those who weren't feeling well. Roman would appreciate the choice of movie, and it might even make him feel a little bit better. No, Logan had to focus on all of the sides, not just Roman. For the past few months, Logan had begun to realize that his thoughts regarding the fanciful side were shifting. He was beginning to see more of Roman's redeeming qualities, and something deep inside of him wanted to see those qualities come out even stronger. Logan was still logic. He wanted to balance out Roman's dreams and desires, but only so he could see Roman achieve them. The smile on his face when he had achieved a goal was intoxicating. Logan stopped. He had been thinking about Roman again. What was he supposed to be doing? Looking down at his hands, Logan noticed there was a dish in it. Right, he had been cleaning the dishes. There was a movie on in the background. He should also return to that. "I'm going to check on Thomas. Shouldn't he finish the dishes?" He could do that after he checked on Thomas. Roman wouldn't approve if he were feeling well, mostly because Roman didn't like getting stuck with the dishes. Why was it so difficult to get his mind off Roman? Was this also a side effect? Logan assured himself it had to be, despite the obvious signs. This was not the first time he'd been lost in thought about Roman, and it had been occurring more and more frequently. As the week continued, Logan's thoughts still resided on Roman more often than he would like. He assumed Roman's inability to talk was a large part of it. Even after Virgil and Patton had returned to normal, Roman hadn't. He didn't sing, didn't speak. His smile had come back, that was a start, but Logan was remiss to admit he craved the creative side's voice. "Roman, I have made you soup. I decided a broth-based soup instead of a cream-based soup will be easier on your stomach." Logan brought over the bowl, and Roman gave Logan a smile. How can one smile such sweet smiles when one is so saddened by sorrows for miles. Logan shook his head. This was not the time for the poetic stylings of Lendl is Cervelon. Is there anything else I can do for you, Roman? Water? A blanket? Maybe assist with your next creative project? Roman tapped the seat next to him before making a notepad and pen appear. Why don't you tell me a story? Logan frowned, sitting next to Roman. You know that's not my forte. Then a poem. You said you appreciated poetry. Logan looked over the note and nodded. If that is what you require of me. Adjusting his glasses, he began to recite the poem that had just been on his mind. How can one smile such sweet smiles when one is so saddened by sorrow for miles? How can I smile the same smiles when life brings me nothing but tears? I wonder for so long what reason you had to smile that long, to keep smiling though troubles come, and still remain sweet and silently overcome. It's such a mystery to me, your smiles from heaven with glee. I adore and yet envy thee, but I rather you smile those at me. I feel happy when I see you smile, even if I'm sad and lonely. Your smile brings me somewhere, I don't even know where. He cut himself off before getting to the next verse. Logan adjusted his tie and turned his head to not show Roman his blush. That's enough of that. Until you are able to speak again, you need to get your rest. Allow me to escort you back to your bedroom. I will read to you until you fall asleep. A guilty smile crossed Roman's face. He couldn't help but stare at the light dusting of crimson over Logan's cheeks. Listening to him recite poetry, it was all worth it. He would allow Logan to lead him back to his room, despite it barely being lunchtime. He would be compliant because he secretly loved receiving all of Logan's care and affection. Their days followed the same type of script, with Logan focusing almost all of his attention on Roman. He was returned to his room to further research concussions when he overheard Patton speaking with someone. It was not in his nature to pry, but it seemed he was speaking to Roman. You can't keep lying to Logan like this, Patton said softly. He deserves to know the truth. I know, Roman spoke in his deep, regal tone. His voice was the first light after a week in darkness. It was the first breath of fresh air after being set free. For days now, he had been worried that Roman would never recover. He was scared that Roman would forever be without his beautiful voice, all because Logan had failed to take logical precautions. He slowly sank to the floor, relief flooding his body. In the same instant, he was mad at why he had been lied to. It mixed with his relief in the same sickening, bubbling way vinegar mixed with baking soda. There was something else, too. Fear? It surged through him like lightning, seizing him to the spot. Was Roman hiding his voice to punish Logan? Did the creative facet hate him that much? Logan deserved it. He had put them all in danger, but how long was Roman planning on punishing him for an accident? Logan covered his face as he tried to sort through everything mixing in his heart. Emotions truly were the bane of his existence. If you don't tell him soon, he'll be devastated when he finds out. I know, my bespectacled companion, I know, but this is the first time I've been able to hold his attention. You know how desperately I am in love with him. Sadly, the only thing he is in love with is schedules and deadlines. There was anger in those words, jealousy even. Was that really what Roman thought? Did Roman really think he didn't care? Roman, I'm surprised at you, Patton yelled. I know, Padre. I know that wasn't acceptable. I'm just... He sighed dramatically, and Logan could hear Patton's bed creak. I'm at my wit's end. I want to be near him all the time. It feels like this is my only chance. He quoted poetry to me. You should have seen it. Padre, it was absolutely stunning. He had so much fire and passion, the same way I am when I'm fighting a dragon witch. It was just like when we had our rap battle. I need that look more often. I do think I might die if he doesn't continue to look at me like that. I just don't know what to do to capture his affection. I'm the most handsome prince of the land. Why am I not enough? Oh, kiddo. The sound of the bed shifting again echoed through Logan's thoughts, new emotions crashing through him. Logan frowned, pushing himself up. He, of course, was frustrated that Roman had lied to him, but he knew that Roman's insecurities outweighed his own. He was elated that Roman liked him back, but cautious that it might not be true. How did Patton deal with all of these swelling emotions on a daily basis? If Roman did truly care about him, then Logan had to formulate a plan. He cleaned the single stray tear off his face and adjusted his tie. He was torn between wanting to punish Roman for lying and wanting to rejoice hearing Roman share his affections. He wanted a plan that was perfectly situated somewhere in between. He had an idea. Hopefully his own heart would not betray him. When dinner came around, Logan continued his overly worried care of Roman. He was not the best actor, and thus it did come out a bit forced, but Roman did not seem to notice. When the plates were all clean, he walked over to Roman and held out a hand. I would like to talk to you in your room, if that is adequate. Roman nodded slowly, taking Logan's hand and walking back to his room with the smartly dressed side. It has been over a week since you were able to speak to us, and I am concerned that there might be permanent damage. I am intending on rearranging Thomas's schedule to fit in a doctor's appointment. Also, I believe you should make time in your schedule for some grueling lessons in American Sign Language, so that you will be able to communicate more easily with the others. Lastly, I must insist on no more adventuring to the imagination. What? Roman just let it slip out and covered his mouth quickly. The imagination was his place of refuge. He didn't want to lose that. Funny joke, right, Lo? I thought if I pretended to still be silent... Logan held up his hand to stop Roman. I already knew. Upon dropping his hand, he rubbed his eyes. Deceit was going to have a field day with as much as the two of them had been lying. And I lied in regards to my previous statements. Logan sat down on the bed with Roman. I know that I can often get too involved in my work. However, if you wanted to spend more time with me, you should have just said so. What? No, why would... He was cut off by a look from Logan. Like looking into Medusa's eyes, you have me petrified. He whispered under his breath. Logan, I enjoy spending time with you when you allow me to see the beauty in the structure of the world. However, as Thomas's logical side, you have a lot of work that you need to do. I will make time. Once you have had time to think of a proper date, please let me know so that I can add it to my schedule. I did not, at any point, intend for you to believe I was neglecting our friendship. Right, so date as in on the calendar? Well, yes, but also as in a social engagement between two persons that often has a romantic characteristic, Logan stated, watching Roman's face as he began to catch up. Wait, are you asking me on a date? Yes, I do believe that was my intention. But you are making me plan it. As the romantic side, you are more suited to the planning of such an event. Additionally, I am a bit upset by the fact that you were lying to me for a few days. This is your punishment for lying, as well as something we both desire. Is that suitable? He was beginning to get a bit nervous now. What if this had all been planned by Roman? No, he wasn't typically that cunning, and Patton would never play along to hurt someone. What if he didn't actually like Logan that deeply, and was just being his dramatic self? Yes, by the horn of a unicorn, yes! I've wanted this for so long, Logan. He threw himself into Logan's lap, kissing him desperately. Logan blushed after a bit and pulled away. His face was almost as red as Roman's sash. We will need to take things a little slower for my taste. After our date, you can continue to assault my mouth. Roman laughed. Very well. Get out of my room so that I can start planning. He jumped off Logan, holding out a hand to help him up. Buenas noches, mi amor. Logan fought back the blush that once again attempted to claim his face. Good night, Roman. As he stepped out of the room, Logan quickly pushed up his glasses to hide the smile he couldn't keep down. How can one person be so dramatic? He should find a more fitting outfit for the coming date. Thank you for listening. Again, this was Concussive Side Effects, written by myself, information in the description, and if you would all like to join me to discuss stories or just hang out, I do have the links to my Discord in the description as well. I hope you all have a wonderful day.